Today is August the 5th, 2013. My name is Tanya Finchum, along with Alex Bishop. We're with Oklahoma State University, and today we're in Norman, Oklahoma, visiting with Coyla Bowden, who is 101. We're going to hear a little bit about her life, and thank you for having us. Let's begin with having you tell us when and where you were born.
I was born in Muskogee, Oklahoma, June 21st, 1912.
And were you born at home or at a hospital?
Home, I'm sure.
What did your parents do for a living?
My father was with Standard Oil, a subsidiary of Standard Oil. We moved about every 3 years to a new oil field.
Mostly in Oklahoma or other states?
Mostly in Oklahoma.
And where did you go to school?
At, let's see, where did I go? Went to Drumride, Oklahoma, Seminole, Oklahoma. And one before that I can't bring to mind.
Shawnee.
Yeah, Shawnee, Oklahoma.
And how many were in your family, brothers and sisters?
7.
And
Was it 6?
Brothers and sisters. 6.
Did that count? Did that count the brother that died at 7? Okay.
Would be 5.
I guess I was counting.
and were you are you the oldest or the
The youngest. I mean the oldest.
oldest? Okay. And Muskogee, so did you graduate from high school in
Seminole.
Seminole? Okay. And how did you end up in Norman?
My husband was sent here by his company.
Okay.
This was a lumber yard.
Well, when did you get married?
In 1936.
So right during the Depression then.
Yes.
Do you have any memories from that time period then?
Yes, I remember a man stealing a loaf of bread from a bakery. They put it in the window and they arrested him for that. His family needed that, but he was arrested.
And was that in
Seminole.
Seminole? How had you met your husband?
We worked in the same building, but for different people at Seminole.
So after high school you went to work?
Yes,
Okay. Doing secretarial work or what?
secretarial work. Went to work at a tag agency selling Oklahoma tags
A long time ago.
for an attorney.
Okay.
In a Ford dealership.
Yeah.
Well, when you were growing up, did you live on a farm? No, in town? Lived in town?
Mm. Well, we did one time, yes, before, let's see, that was before I went to school.
I was just curious if you had chores when you were growing up.
We had a few.
Did your mother sew?
Oh, yes.
Did she use the flour sacks or did she buy fabric?
Yes, a flour, a sack.
Sack. Did she teach you?
Did you what?
Did she teach you how to sew?
Some, not a lot.
Did she quilt?
Yes.
Back in those days, people belonged to homemaker clubs. Did she belong to one? No.
No.
Have you?
No.
So once you got married, did you go on a honeymoon?
Yes.
And where did you go?
Let's see. Maybe it was Texas, South Texas. Hadn't thought about that in a long time either. Because that was a long time ago.
Let's say.
Mm-hmm.
And what kind of car back in those days?
Yes. I don't remember what we had then.
No, your father probably had a Model T.
Yes.
Did he? Is that how you learned to drive on one?
No, did he teach you to drive?
Oh, no.
He didn't teach any of us to drive. Fred taught me to drive. My husband taught me to drive.
Just something they didn't teach girls, or did he teach your brother?
Did he teach Gene?
I don't think so.
I don't think he taught anyone to drive.
See, the car was a precious commodity because he used that in his work. It wasn't a plaything, where we were going to learn to drive it.
Well, then along came the war. Did your husband go to serve in the military?
He was in the Marine Corps.
And
on the East Coast.
And did you go to the East Coast with him?
Yes.
Well, North Carolina, probably. East Coast.
Yeah, North Virginia.
Virginia.
And I worked in the Navy Yard there.
Okay. Were you there when the war was over?
Let's see. Yes, I was.
What was that like?
Well, celebrations. Yeah.
Did dancing play a part in your...
He didn't dance.
He
did a little, but he didn't like to dance. There's the dancer.
But now you did quite a lot of square dancing.
Hmm?
You did a lot of square dancing.
Well, yeah, that's right. He was a good square dancer.
That's when someone's calling the moves for you.
Yes.
Just following instructions.
What did you do in the Navy shipyard? What type of
I
work?
was in accounting. It was a large office.
People from all over.
Did you live on base?
No, but it was government housing.
Did he serve overseas then?
No.
He didn't have to. Probably a little older than most at that time, I guess.
Yeah.
But at that time, there were just so many different people there in the office. It was interesting and exciting to learn about all the different people.
Sure. Was that the first time you'd been out of Oklahoma?
No, we'd
Oh,
been
for
to
your honey-
surrounding states, but let's see. I guess we'd been to California. Oh, Mexico. But we hadn't been overseas.
First time you'd been...
Let's see. We'd been Cuba.
So once the war was over, he decided to come back to Oklahoma
Yes.
and lived here ever since?
Beg pardon?
Have been here ever since?
Yes.
Yes. Once you moved here, did you work?
Yes.
You worked. So you worked a good chunk of your life too,
Yes.
doing secretarial type of stuff.
Yes. For a new car dealer.
Okay. And when did you retire then?
When I was 50.
Lucky.
Well, we moved to this house, and I had the yard to do. And I told my husband that I was going to retire first. So I did.
And did you have a hobby?
Gardening, and I guess that was about it.
Did you can?
No.
Not that kind of gardening.
No, I didn't can.
Flower
Excuse me.
garden.
Flowers. And did you learn to quilt?
No,
Didn't have time if you were working.
yeah.
And so when did your husband retire?
In like about 1972.
A little bit after. Then what did you do? Did you start traveling at that point?
Yes,
Do you have a favorite place you've been to?
Australia
Oh.
and Hong Kong, Tokyo,
We loved them all.
all in between, because he liked to travel. You just mentioned someplace you like to go. Well, when do we leave?
Is there some place left you'd like to go?
South Africa. They say it is beautiful there.
And I keep telling her it's not too late.
No, so when are you going? Yeah. They book you a flight and head on.
Yeah, we've been to Africa, but not South Africa.
No,
We
Both
went on
coasts.
safari.
East and West Coast and the North Coast.
Yeah.
I haven't been to South Africa.
Well, it isn't too late.
Mm.
Is this your traveling partner?
Yes.
Is there a place you would not go back again?
There is a place or two that's dangerous. And I just wouldn't want to go there.
I wouldn't want to go back to Russia. I'm glad we went, but I wouldn't want to go back there.
I doubt if it'd be dangerous.
No, I don't think it would be. But I didn't really care for India either.
No. People
But
are
I'm glad
really
we
poor
went.
there.
Your passport has quite a few stamps on it then, huh?
Yes, it does. I have several passports.
Share with us a favorite memory you have from a trip.
Well, I kept a log on it, and some of the funny things were really funny, and I can remember those. Getting it into a new airport, and there was a man with us that smoked cigars, and he'd start asking the natives, where could he get a cigar? Well, they'd tell him down here and then over here. He'd go down there, and it was another restroom.
Oh. They really didn't understand English,
No,
but they were doing the
no.
best they could.
You'd go down there, and there'd be another restroom.
Well, one of the best trips was that when we went on the African safari because we got to see all the wild animals up close and personal.
Mostly rear ends. They ran away.
Well, the lions did not though. They were
Yeah.
lazy,
Yeah, they were.
and the cubs were so cute. You just wanted to get out and cuddle one, but Mama was right there. You wouldn't dare leave the Land Rover. And
Yeah.
one morning when we went out to look at the animals, when we came upon a large herd of elephants, and we just parked, and they were going to the river, and they were all around us, and there were the mothers and the aunties and all that taking care of the little babies. It was really interesting to
And
see
those
all
were
that.
what, you say?
the babies. You know,
No,
the
the
aunts as well as the mothers took care of the babies, and they nursed them.
Elephants.
And I
Elephants.
remember the camels going by, and all you could see, was long legs.
And the giraffes were just beautiful. We just loved them all.
So what's it been like for you? What is that with your sister getting to travel with you? What's that been like?
Very nice. Because what I missed, you'd see, call attention to, you know. And she'd have ideas about where to go and
We researched our trips pretty well before we went, so we, they would take us on side tours, but we knew other places to go and things to see, and believe me, we saw it all when we went. Of course, it took us 5 trips to Hong Kong to see it all, but we...
yeah, and in Hong Kong we had trouble making the cab driver take us back to our hotel.
Uh-huh.
But someone parked right by us, and I told him, we were staying in, all the hotels.
Well, we stayed at the Hilton one time.
Yeah.
And then that one time when we were supposed to come home and something happened and they had to bring us back to Hong Kong and spend a day there, which the airlines paid for. We stayed at the Holiday Inn then. So what we did, the minute we got to the hotel, we dropped our bags and hit the streets. Because, see, every time that you go to Hong Kong, when you leave, then you say, oh my goodness, I wish I had bought this. That would just be a darling gift for someone.
Well, did you get anything in Hong Kong? Did you go shopping?
Oh, heavens, yes.
Oh, yes.
And so when we went back there, well, when we hit the streets, I mean, we shopped and got everything that we'd missed the first time around.
We called it a cab
Yeah,
and took off.
because we knew just where to go. We'd been there so often.
But when we got ready to come back, we couldn't make the cab driver understand which hotel to take us to. But someone parked right next to us,
Yeah,
and I asked him.
and he translated for
He
us.
said yes, he spoke English,
Yeah.
so he told the cab driver.
But see, these prints here are from Thailand. We left Thailand too. And those are on leaves.
Yeah,
They're
painted on leaves.
Painted on leaves, yeah.
Mhm.
They're hand painted. The artist is very well known over there. And so we got some of those.
Did you ever learn another language?
Few words, but not a lot.
Yeah, every time we went into a new country, the tour guide would tell us please and thank you and yes and no and different things, and we could write it down. I wrote it down phonetically, so that I could, because I thought it was important to say thank you to people.
Do you remember any words that you learned?
I don't.
In Japan, it's arigato.
Mm-hmm.
Arigato is thank you in Japanese. That I remember.
I'd forgotten that.
Yeah.
But traveling was just so interesting. Different people, different country, and
One trip a year or more?
well, a time or two we made 2 trips, and one year something came up. The university had a tour one time to a small island off the coast of Spain,
Oh yeah, Mallorca.
and it was a 5 or 7 day trip. It was kind of a short trip. We debated whether it was worth the money going all the way over there for a few days.
But
We
it was.
we
worth it.
decided yes, and we went, and it was worth it. It was a good trip.
Yeah.
And let's see, that's where they had the bar.
Yeah, in the windmill. And they broadcast.
Up
they had a
on
radio
high,
station
where
there.
you could see the ocean and everything. And we'd go in there, and bartender, of course, he got so he knew everyone. The second time you came, he knew where you were from. And he'd say something about the Oklahomans are here.
The Sooners, and they would interview us because everybody was an oil magnate or a cattle baron. So that was fun.
Yeah.
And while we were there, we got to take side trips to Africa, to Algiers, and to Madrid. We took a day trip to Madrid.
Yeah. But, and each trip was different. Seemed like. But I've got the books in there on it, and every once in a while I'll get one out and read what was it that happened there. In fact, our travel guide called me one time, wanted the name of a hotel.
Yeah.
Because he was planning another tour. He called and said, "Did I have the name of that hotel? So and so." And Fred said, "Oh, she probably does." And I looked it up and told him because he wanted to book that hotel.
You kept a diary of your travels? Is that what you did?
Yes.
So
Be interesting to read.
And sometimes I'd cut out a little flag of that country and put it on the first page.
And I took lots and lots of pictures and put them in albums. And every time I took a picture, I had a code that I put down there and where it was and who was in the picture. And when we were on like a bus tour, when we come in town, if I could see the post office or a sign or anything that told the name of the city or the country, I would take a picture of that to start out with.
And she made me an album of that trip.
So
I have it in the bedroom in there.
I've got all those albums. And when I moved into a new house about 5 years ago, that's the first time I looked at it in years. But I had to take all of those, so I looked through everything. It was wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So did you go on a trip for your 100th birthday?
No.
No.
We just-
How did you celebrate?
She had a big party. With
And-
legends. Had a bunch of people there.
Mhm. We celebrated. All the family came from Kansas and Nebraska and I don't know where all.
Yeah.
And to top it off, Barry Switzer came to her house to wish her a happy birthday and visited with her for about an hour.
Brought me his picture. It's in the other room.
An autographed picture.
To Coyla Bowden on her birthday. And
So you
he came and talked about 45 minutes and got ready to leave. He says, "Well, I'm going home and I'm going to fix me a bacon sandwich."
Bacon and tomato sandwich. But she'd had OU football tickets for more than 60 years
Oh gosh.
and seldom and hardly, I think she missed 2 games in all that time.
My gosh. I saw a lot of good games.
Been there when it was sleeting.
you have a favorite memory from a game? Or a favorite game you remember?
Well, the year that I went down on the football field, she engineered that. I was introduced down on the football field. I've got a picture of that in
It
there.
had her picture on the Jumbotron.
Why were you introduced? Is there a special occasion?
Because I'd had season tickets so long.
Well, they had, the year before they had just started honoring people who had had season tickets for a long time, and so I went over to the year that she was having her 90th. I went over there and asked them how did they determine who was going to be honored. Well, they couldn't really tell me. I thought they were kind of evasive about that. So I just kept going back and going back and going back. I told them about her. And sure enough, the first game of that year, they played Alabama, which was a huge game. And it was nationally televised and everything. And they did, they came up in the stands and got my brother and I and Coyla, and took us down on the field, and introduced her and told about her, with her, like I say, picture on the jumbotron, and then all of the cheerleaders gathered around and they took her picture with that. And Bob Stoops gave her an autograph picture, so, among other things. So I thought that was.
That's
I was
pretty
just
cool.
determined that during that year there's something special. Just kept going.
Mhm.
So,
Did they win the game?
oh yes, yes. That was the crowning glory right there.
Yeah.
So
So do you
She's still going to the games.
That's what I was
I'm
gonna say.
not.
Do you know?
Now, where were your seats? 50-yard line?
No.
about on the 20, but we were on the top deck, and she was walking up all those ramps all those years.
So you walked all the way up there every year.
Yeah, but then one year they changed it, and I could ride the elevator.
When she was
Or whoever
90,
had those tickets.
when she was 94, she got an elevator pass.
And that was when she could ride the elevator too.
Yeah. Well, the year before, I'd said, maybe you could get a letter from your doctor and we could ride the elevator. And boy, she let me know right off. If I wanted to ride the elevator, I could get my own letter. But she did relent finally. I think she took pity on me because I was panting. She was just skating right on through, you know.
Have you always walked or been in pretty good shape throughout
Yes.
your life?
Yes. Yeah, I get out there and do yard work. I think that keeps me going.
So he does. Well, describe a typical day for us. What time do you get up?
About 7.
Okay.
No, I don't hurry getting up. But it's 12 or 1 before I go to bed.
Without a nap?
Yeah, no nap.
No nap. My goodness.
Oh.
Where do you get your energy then?
You know what?
Where do you get your energy?
I don't know because I don't eat a lot. I have to remember to eat 3 meals a day.
Yeah.
It's that one a day vitamin that she takes that gives her that's her medication right there, is one a day vitamin.
That's all you take a day?
I take an eye vitamin and child's aspirin. Just
No blood pressure medicine or cholesterol or any of
No.
that. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and what do you do during the day? What are some of the activities you do?
just read, go to the grocery store, whatever comes up. I have a niece that comes and cleans my house every other time. And I do it once, and she does it a lot better than I do.
And you still drive?
Yes,
Well, she has to because she's got to get her hair done on Thursdays. If we say we're getting our hair done, if we have to call the EMTs.
Is that true?
You get your hair done together
No, because I live in Shawnee, but she gets hers on Thursday and I go on
every
on
Thursday.
Friday. Yeah, every
Well, what time's your appointment set for on Thursday?
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
Well, it's 12:30 now, but it was 1 o'clock a long time. But my operator wants off. I'm his last one. He wants to go home right after that.
Have you been going to the same place?
Yeah, for quite a long time. And then I had been going to another man for years. He up and died, so I had to change then. But he had worked with this man, so he knew how it had been done for so long. So there was really no change in it.
Well, how close is the grocery store that you go to then? How close?
Well, it's over on Lindsay, Homeland.
Not too far.
It isn't too far.
I'm not familiar with Norman.
Well,
so
it's
Probably,
up on Main Street.
probably not more than a mile. About a mile. Wouldn't you say about a mile?
Yeah.
has Norman changed a lot since when you first moved?
Yes, there is so much traffic on my street now. We first moved out here a long time ago. There was very little. Well, let's see, it was a gravel road when we moved out here. And then they blacktopped it. Then years later, they paved it. But it was a gravel road out here.
And what year was that when you moved here?
1957.
Time ago. Over 50, 60 years. 50
Yeah.
years. No, I'm sure the town has changed a lot in that length of time too.
Oh, yes.
If you square danced, did it have a place where you would dance here in town?
Yes.
Did it? Probably doesn't anymore.
Yes, there's still the same square dance club. It's still dancing.
Right.
And then a sister, she and her husband belonged to 3 square dance clubs, Joni's. And they had children. A neighbor took care of them while they were square dancing.
Well, at what point did you think that you would live to be 100?
I never thought about living to be 100.
It just happened, huh?
Yeah. When I wasn't looking.
Well, what do you think are some of your secrets to longevity?
I think keeping busy out in the yard and just walking.
I think being optimistic helps too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you walk a little every day?
Mostly just in the house. Sometimes I'll get out. I have cannas all across the south side, and I'll get out and cut the blooms off. And in the fall, I cut them all down, take them to the street, and they're picked up.
Well, what's left on your bucket list to do?
I don't really have anything
Did you want
planned to do.
besides going to South Africa?
Yeah, I still like to do that, but that takes quite a bit of stamina to go on those trips, and I don't think I want to just be worn out every night, night after night, after tours and things. I'm just not interested in it. Take it a little easier now.
Well,
The neighbors, you're kind of amazed at some of the things I do around here, around the yard.
it looked pretty good.
Well, my nephew just mowed over the weekend. He and his grandson come and mow. He's raising 3 grandchildren. But they're lucky. The kids are lucky.
Well, when you work out in the yard, do you do a hat and long sleeve shirts to protect your
No,
skin?
I do long sleeve shirts. But a hat is just too hot.
Not worried about a sunburn.
No, I try to work in the shade.
Cool of the morning.
Yeah.
Have you had any major illnesses?
Well, I had cancer a long time ago. I guess that's about it.
When
I
you
had
lived?
colon cancer and didn't know it. Yeah, I went into the hospital for gallbladder surgery, and the doctor, Dr. McCullough, made a thorough examination, and he found out that I had left colon cancer. So a week later, I had that taken care of. Came on home, no treatments. They got it in time.
Good.
About how old were you?
I was 60 years old. That was in 1972, I think. So yeah, that's right. I was 60 years old. If it hadn't been for Dr. McCullough, I wouldn't be here.
Right.
I think he's still practicing. I'm not sure. But he loves being a doctor.
And playing the piano. And playing the piano.
Oh, yes. Sometimes he goes to the hospital and plays down there for a while. He's a very likable doctor. Talk to him about anything. Ask him about his children, though. One of them is a doctor.
Do you have an approach to life or a motto you live by?
Just keep moving.
Just keep moving.
Yeah, just keep moving. Don't sit all the time.
When you think about all of the new inventions that's come along, do you have a favorite?
Yes, well, so many times when I use the microwave, I say, oh, I wish my mother had had one. And she cooked 3 meals a day. And I don't ever remember us having sandwiches.
Way back then, they didn't do that very much like they do now.
What would you have typically back then? What would be a typical meal back then? If you didn't have sandwiches, what did you eat?
Well, it was a full meal, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, chicken fried steak and mashed potatoes and gravy and salad and green vegetables and dessert. Always dessert. She's a wonderful baker, pie baker.
Yeah.
I mean, we got full treatment at dinner time in the evening. And we walked home from school at lunch, and she prepared lunch for us. It was a light lunch, like soup and cornbread, and she usually had a dessert for lunch too. I remember walking home from school at noontime.
Yeah, she cooked a lot of cakes and pies.
And homemade bread?
Yeah, she said that.
Biscuits. She really made
Yeah,
wonderful
biscuits.
biscuits. But I don't remember her making bread. She may have before my time.
Yeah. Cornbread and biscuits.
Right.
And that was probably before refrigeration in the home?
Ice boxes.
Icebox.
And my father would fix the refrigerator so that the water went outside.
Melted. Mice would melt and you'd have water. Most people had a pan underneath there where you had to empty it every so often.
Yeah.
Not us.
So she, all they had was ice.
And then washing machines.
Yes, she had one. I can remember her washing on a washboard though. But I don't know if she probably wasn't when you were growing up.
No, we had a washing machine.
Yeah.
By then, but as I recall.
Yeah. And you'd have 3 wash tubs. You washed in one with soap, and then you rinsed, and then you put the next one in bluing.
So you had to have 2 rinses.
Yeah, had to have 2 rinses. You did all that by hand, wringing and everything. Those were not the days. No. But we had a lot of fun.
What were some of the things you did for fun as a little girl?
We had games. We had hopscotch outside. Wonder if anyone knows how to do that anymore.
I think so. And jacks. Play jacks.
Yeah. Played a lot of jacks.
Did your family have any rituals or any type of traditions like Christmas or Thanksgiving or birthdays or anything?
Well, Christmas, everyone gathered at my mother and dad's house. All the close ones.
Mhm.
And then after they died, they would come over to my house. Then it got so dangerous because I have quite a few over at Prague, living at Prague. They'd get ready to go home and there would be ice every place. So Fred took us on a vacation. You went and see Jonice went?
Yeah.
Did all go on that?
Yes.
And those were your other siblings?
Yes. Our 2 sisters.
And he took all of us on a,
Caribbean cruise.
yeah, and
And we flew out of Oklahoma City.
that
And
broke
then,
it.
And then our younger sister and number 2 sister, Jonice and Ollie, flew out of Tulsa, and we all met in Dallas. Well, our younger sister was taking chemo treatments, and she was wearing a wig because she lost her hair. And I laughingly called Fred Daddy Warbucks. Well, when she showed up down there in Dallas and we went to meet her, she had on a little Orphan Annie wig. Red curls, because she was going to travel with Daddy Warbucks. And we had a wonderful, wonderful tour because her doctor had arranged her treatment so that she would feel good during that time. And then as soon as she returned to Muskogee where she lived, then she would resume her treatments. But it was it was the last trip that we all took together.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But it was just
We knew it.
special.
We
Yeah.
knew it. But she attended most of the land trips. There was one she didn't go on, but the others she did.
Yeah.
And you could tell she was just so sick.
So
But she wanted to go.
when you traveled, did you and your husband and all your siblings, your sisters, go with you?
She went quite a bit.
I bet.
She was the only one that.
Well, it was
Well-
sometimes we all went together. There were several trips when we did that. I know because one time we went to San Antonio, wasn't it? We all went together because our youngest sister worked for a car dealer, and she was able to get a like an SUV, bigger, where we could all go together. And so we drove down to San Antonio and did the river walk and the whole smear. And another time, well, the sisters, we all went to Colorado, to Denver and Colorado Springs and all.
You took
Yeah,
a sister's trip.
Yes. Fred was supposed to go, but then something came up where he couldn't go. So we all went and had a wonderful time.
Hmm.
But we were it's a fun-loving group, and we just had a wonderful time together. It was a big laugh from the time we left until we got back.
Got into Denver, and we kind of lost track of direction some way. We said, well, if the sun wasn't out, we wouldn't know north from south or east from west, you remember?
Yeah.
I made a right turn, and it was the wrong way. We kept looking at numbers on businesses, or mostly businesses.
It was no big deal. We were taking a scenic tour.
And easy turning rights. We got down there a ways, turned around, went back the other way, and found out where we were going. Laughing all the way.
Were practical jokes part of the picture?
Oh, yes.
Were they?
Yes.
Well, of the historical events through the years, do any stand out in your mind? Like, do you remember John F. Kennedy assassination, that type of thing?
Yes. Yeah. I was working some kind of a sale downtown that the garden club was having. And I heard the news down there when I was on Main Street. Yeah. Kind of remember some things where you were,
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't believe it happened. But they were having a pretty big sale too. There's just so many things that happen when you stop and think back.
Do you have a favorite TV show from back in the 50s or 60s?
There was one that our dad liked so much. I know it was two men, but I can't remember the name of it.
Was it Amos and Andy?
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
He liked that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember getting your first television?
Yes, the first one we bought for our mother for Christmas one year. Said we don't even have one, and we were buying one for her. But she was sick then. She had cancer. So we came home. Well, let's see now, we did have one. It belonged to a friend, and he needed a place to leave it for a short time. So we had his television. So when he came and got his, then we bought one. But I think it was a lot of comfort for Mother. It was around Christmas, and we put that on the front porch, I remember.
Mm-hmm.
And we ran her upstairs and all around, and she wound up out the front door and saw that television out there. But a lot of things can happen in a lifetime. Mostly good, but some bad. Two of our sisters have died. We kept calling one, couldn't get her. Sent the police out there, and she was sitting in her chair, and she just passed out. She just died.
Reading her Bible.
Yeah.
And you said you had I think earlier when I met with you, you had a brother that 7?
Yeah.
That passed away.
She what?
And when Glenn passed away at 7.
Oh, yes.
How did that impact you and your family?
Well, I'm sure it was so much worse for our parents.
Mm-hmm.
But I was 13 at the time, so it really affected me too.
But I was only 1, so it really didn't.
I often wonder if they put him in the hospital, if that would have helped. He had 2 problems. Had kidney poisoning and pneumonia. And at that time, what you did for one went against the other one. So they got rid of his pneumonia, but he could not survive kidney poisoning.
Did you have to, when this was going on, did you have extra family responsibilities you had to do, or
No,
no?
no, mother took care of him, and well, my dad helped. But
And he was in the home.
Yeah.
So you were there. You probably had to help too, I assume.
yes,
Yeah.
but very little.
Yeah.
And let's see, Jean was 5 or 6 months old at that time, her brother. So mother had that too to contend with.
Yeah.
He was breastfed. He just cried and cried. She said, well, he's starving. Yeah. So
That's kind of a sad experience, but what's something you would say is the happiest period of your life?
well, I guess about the time I married, probably. We took a trip to South Texas and up through New Mexico, went to see an aunt in Colorado. She had adopted a baby. So we got to see her. 2 of mother's sisters adopted. This one a little girl and the other sister a little boy.
Now, did you ever have children?
No,
No.
and the sister next to me, she had no children. So I guess my parents thought it was late till she came along with 2 boys.
And our youngest sister had 4 children, and our brother had 6. So
They made that.
He
didn't
Yeah.
made up. And they all live around close to him.
Sounds like they may visit you too.
So they checked on him. He lives Prague, out of Prague a ways.
It sounds like they take good care of you too. They said you have one that mows your grass, a nephew.
and that's our youngest sister's son and daughter that are over here a lot.
Mhm.
We all kind of look after each other now, you know.
Now, when history is written, what do you want to say about you?
I really don't have anything in mind. Whatever they want to write, more power to them.
In other words, what do you feel is you want people to know? What is it
I
you want them
hope
to
I
know?
was a good aunt
Mhm.
to them.
And if you could give a piece of advice to somebody who's getting ready to turn 100, what would you tell
Be careful. No, I just don't keep moving.
them? And be careful.
Yeah, but they're all doing pretty good on their own. I have one that comes clean house, and I have one that mows for me.
And do they ask for a particular food when you cook? Do they have something favorite of yours?
No,
No
no,
specialty dish.
They're usually here and gone by noon. Or if the ones who mows, if they come, it'll be in the afternoon.
Yeah, but birthdays.
Bir-
My birthday, she always bakes a lemon cake that is just wonderful.
And it's just that one layer, plain lemon cake, but that's the one she likes.
Well, how do you plan to celebrate your next birthday? 102. Not thinking that far ahead, huh?
No. But I hope to get there.
I think you will. You keep
I
moving.
will. Yeah, I think I will.
I think you will.
I'm working on it.
But all the nieces and nephews will gather when she has the party. How many did you have? 30?
Something like that. I was getting ready to take off on a vacation, so I just did it the easy way. I made arrangements with Charleston's for everybody to come there and just order off the menu and have whatever they wanted. And then we came back here and had Italian cream cake and ice cream for the birthday.
And most of them came back over here. I think there's one or two from Prague maybe had something up, some of the younger ones, and went back.
We had a good group.
We had a house full.
Yes, we did. She said it was the best birthday party she ever had.
Well, that's a good note to end on, unless there's something else you want to add.
Oh, I think we covered everything I can bring to mind right now.
Well, I thank you very much for sharing with us today.
Well, thank you for coming.